According to Chime.com, 54% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, with the average 18 to 24-year-old already in around $9,000 worth of debt. So, why is financial literacy important? Today we're going to jump into it.
Welcome back to Hey Olexa. I'm Ryan, this is Michelle, and we are a couple trying to get out of debt so that we can live our dream life. And today, we're talking about financial literacy and why it's important. So what even is financial literacy? Basically, it's education about finances. It's about understanding personal finance and all the different implications of it. Does that mean you need to know everything about money? We don't think so. In fact, that's probably pretty overwhelming to most of us. There are a few things, however, that are really helpful, we believe, that will help level up your finances and really make a big impact. Things like understanding credit cards and how those work, and understanding how to make a budget.
If you don't know how to manage your finances or how to take care of them, then there's a myriad of consequences that could happen, and they can be crippling, such as subsidized student loans all the way to bankruptcy. Think of finances like what you learned in school and hanging out with the wrong crowd. It's really easy to hang out with the wrong crowd and make poor choices pretty quickly.
Think about it this way. It's easier to get pulled down off a chair, think about like making a wrong decision, than if you're sitting on a chair and you're helping somebody up onto the chair, or in this case, building wealth. If you don't believe me on this one, you should try it for yourself. It really is true. The fact of the matter is that one poor financial decision really can take you down a terrible road.
We can take a note out of my book for this one. When I was 21 years old, I found myself starting over. I had so much pride that there was no way I was calling anyone, not family, friend, foe, or even a stranger, to help me. I had a credit card, which I used very sparingly until I lost my job. Technically, I quit before they fired me, but you get where we're going with this. So in this time frame, I have an apartment, rent is due, I have no job, and I'm scrambling. So I decided that I would get a job waiting tables, which worked out. I had tons of cash in my pocket. I didn't really understand the amount of cash that was in my pocket, but I definitely had cash, and I was able to pay my bills. Everything seemed fine. So I decided, I'm gonna better myself. I'm gonna put myself through college while I'm serving. That's what everybody does, right? I realized in this season that I needed to pay for school, and I didn't know how to do my FAFSA or how to deal with any loan situation. So I was like, I have my credit card. I'm going to put everything on my credit card. And that worked out until I maxed it out with my very tiny limit of like $1,000 at the time. And then I sat there and thought, how in the world do I go from here? Like, I was buying my groceries on this. Like, I didn't know what to do. So I very reluctantly, again, very pridefully, went to my bank and was like, hey, can I talk to a banker? And they were like, sure. So I sit down with this banker, and the banker was like, what's going on? And I said, hey, I have this bill. I'm paying what you're telling me I owe, but I still owe more, and I don't understand. And he was like, well, yeah, you have to actually pay more on your bill. And he threw the bill down, and then that was it. And I was just like, I don't understand. Here's the thing. He missed the opportunity in that moment to actually explain to me what compound interest was and how the interest worked with that credit card. It wasn't his fault that I got myself into these financial predicaments, but he could have helped me, and he didn't. He just looked at me and said, pay more. That didn't make sense because I didn't have more to pay. I was paying my bill. I was paying what they said I needed to pay. So take it from me. If you don't know what you're doing with credit cards, it's okay. We're going to figure it out. You're in the right place. But financial literacy is extremely important before you do decide to have a credit card that has 29.99% APR.
My story is a little different. You see, I came into adulthood kind of lucky because my first job happened to be, my first full-time job happened to be at a credit union at a financial institution. So I learned a lot of great stuff about budgeting and personal finance and just good general money habits. I've actually had a few experiences with credit cards where instead of getting into more debt, I was actually able to build more wealth. So first, when I was in college, me and my roommate decided to get a credit card that was offering $100 if you were using it for like 6 months or something. There were certain requirements you had to meet, and we literally did the bare minimum, got our $100, and then I'm pretty sure, I don't know if we closed our cards or kept them open, but we didn't use them after that. So then a few years later, I was working at a credit union in the branch, and my branch manager there started telling me about how he used credit cards to be able to build up points and pay for trips all around the world with himself and his husband. To be honest, at the time it felt kind of like a scam, but this was a branch manager, and he really knew his stuff about finances, and I really trusted him. And he told me that the key things are that you got to make sure you're paying off your credit card in full every month, and you only want to take advantage of it if they're offering you some bonus points at the beginning of the credit card deal. So I went and found a credit card that was like that. Luckily, I happened to have a pretty good credit score at the time, so I qualified, and this was a card that was offering 50,000 bonus points. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go for this because I trust this guy, and he's giving me some good advice. And so there's a lot of details that go into how all this works and how you can really make this work for you. We'll have to do another video about that in the future. But long story short is this credit card I used to pay for my trip to Costa Rica and back. It got me to Denver and back. Then I did it again with another credit card, and that one paid for my trip to Austria and Italy. So it really is something that when you know how to do it right, you really can do it right, and it can make you, or it can save you a lot of money on all these trips and allow you to go places that I wouldn't have been able to pay for otherwise. Now, quick caveat, before you go and try something like this, you've got to do your research, and I would even advise you to talk to somebody that's truly knowledgeable, maybe somebody that's done this before. Somebody like a financial expert, maybe a personal banker, a credit counselor, somebody like that. So why is financial literacy important? Well, I would argue that it's important because if you don't know a lot about finances, you may make one simple mistake that just digs you a super deep hole that's difficult to get out of. However, on the flip side of that, if you really know your stuff, you can actually take advantage of finances and build wealth that way that will help you reach your dream life. And we truly believe that your dream life is attainable.
That begs the question, what can you do to improve your skills? Well, there's a lot of things that you can do, actually. You can read books, there are podcasts, you can do what we did. We went to a financial literacy course. We went to Dave Ramsey's FPU, or Financial Peace University. We are not affiliated with Dave Ramsey, but it was really good for us, and it was something that really helped us. We'll leave a list of description in the resource box below. We'll leave a list of resources in the description box below, just for you to figure out what works for you. Everyone's a little bit different, and while we're not experts, and this is not financial advice, this is just a video on what we've done to help ourselves and what's worked for us, we can give you at least some resources. The other thing we would love is that if this has been something that you've enjoyed or that has been helpful and made you think a little bit about what you could be doing with your finances, please join our community. We would love for you to hit the subscribe button. It's a budget-friendly tip for you, and it's something that you would be doing for us. It's sustainable, and it helps us so much.
And I would encourage you to read and take in different philosophies about money. It's obviously easier just to go to one source and kind of do what they tell you to do. But we've found that going to different sources really gives us a more well-rounded view and has helped us to really shape our own view about finances. And it has been something that's been attainable for us as well.
Okay, you guys, that's it for today's video. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe and check out all the resources in the description box below. And don't forget
to budget wisely,
compromise kindly,
and be authentically you.
We'll see you in the next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.